Hello everybody, Draykke here again with another Minecraft tutorial, and today I bring you the latest piston elevator to my set of tutorials. Now this one, after building it from the ground up, I must admit, takes the cake in terms of the other piston elevators I have built. This thing is infinitely expandable, extremely compact, really resource light when compared to all the other piston elevators out there, and best of all, it is a multi-level elevator, meaning that you can set it to take you to a certain floor, and it will take you to that floor. Not only that, but it also comes with the built-in integrated down function, just like all of my other elevators do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and demonstrate it. So this is basically the setup that I have here. It's worth mentioning that you can have as many floors with this elevator as you'd like, but just for the demonstration and for the tutorial purposes, I just have this elevator with 3 floors. So basically how this works is you'll press this button and it will swap between the available floors of the elevator. Now whichever light is turned off is the floor that it will take you to. So in this case, whenever I take the elevator, it will take me to the first floor. So let's go ahead and give it a ride, and it will take me up to this platform up top here that you guys can see. So basically you just step inside the elevator and you just step onto this pressure plate right on top of this glass pane, and it will push you up to the floor really fast. So let's go for a ride. And there is the first floor, extremely fast. You guys can see I made that time in no time at all. So now let's go ahead and demonstrate the other floors. So like I said, this can go up to 3 floors that I have built, but it's infinitely expandable. If you'd like, you can go from bedrock to sky with this design. It just depends on what you're doing. So you basically press this button. It is now set to floor number 2, and whenever you step inside, it will take you to the second floor now. And there is floor number 2. So, might as well go ahead and go for floor number 3 since we've done the other ones. So you press the button, it will switch to floor number 3, and you once again take the elevator. And there is floor number 3. So while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and demonstrate the down function to you guys too, to show you how it works. So basically you just press this button, which is located on every floor of your elevator, and the pistons will all extend out, allowing you a safe travel downwards. Just like this. And you can basically just do this for any level, all the way down to the bottom of your elevator. However tall it is, it doesn't matter. The levels will always function the same way, and I have tested this obviously in adventure mode and survival mode, and you take no damage on the way up and no damage on the way down. Another thing I'd like to point out with this system real quick before we begin is, it stands out from its competition, especially from multi-level elevators, because if you're using this on a multiplayer server, then you're not hindering the next player who goes to use the elevator. From all the other designs out there on YouTube, obviously they have been gigantic and not at all resource light, but the thing I'd like to point out the most is whenever you use those designs, you say you'd take this elevator to floor number 2, all these pistons will be extended up until that level to allow for a down function. The way this one is set up though, you can just use the down function no matter what level you're on, as you can see, and you can just take it down anytime you'd like. So because of that, the next player who uses the elevator is not hindered because those pistons aren't extended. So basically you can take this elevator and then right after you, somebody else could take it to whatever floor they want to, and you're not actually tramping on each other's toes whenever you're taking this elevator, making it really nice for multiplayer situations. So to get started, these are the base materials that you are going to need to start building this elevator. And this is not the elevator itself, this is all the materials such as like the pressure plate, the redstone, and the repeaters here in the back side of the elevator, just to get things started so that you can actually begin the duplication of the levels. So to begin, these are materials that you will need. You're going to need 10 building blocks of any kind. It can be any kind of block in Minecraft. For this tutorial, though, I'm using blocks of iron just because it's a lot easier to make things stand out. You're also going to need 1 pressure plate. It can be either stone or wood, it doesn't matter. 12 pieces of redstone dust, 5 redstone repeaters, 5 redstone torches, 1 sticky piston, and 1 regular piston, and those are the base materials to get things started. Okay, so these are the base materials that you will need to build this level choice system that I have located here. As you can see here in the back, it does use quite a few hoppers, but that's just for each level of the design. So for that entire system, you're going to need the following materials. You're going to need 8 building blocks of any kind, 7 pieces of redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, 2 redstone repeaters, a stone button, 1 redstone comparator, 2 hoppers, and then you're also going to need a junk item of any kind. It can be any item at all in Minecraft. You're just going to need it to cycle between the hoppers as part of the selection choice. So after you have those base materials that you need to start this system, you're also going to need the following materials per level of your elevator that you put in, and this is basically the decision making of the entire system for what level you choose. So you'll just need these items per level of your elevator. So you'll need 1 building block of any kind, 1 piece of redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, 1 redstone comparator, 2 hoppers, and of course 1 redstone lamp to indicate which level you're going to be choosing. I would also recommend a sign to put over it, that way it's a heck of a lot easier to see what level you're going to. Okay, so now for the elevator itself, and that is, you know, every level of the elevator, including all of the pistons, all of the torches, all of the repeaters, all of the dust. You're going to need the following materials per level of your elevator. You're going to need 6 building blocks of any kind, 1 piece of redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, 1 sticky piston, 1 regular piston, and 1 glass pane per level of your design. Now obviously you're not going to need 1 glass pane every level. You'll have spots here and there that are too high, especially when you reach the you know, the ends of the floors and stuff, but that's the general basic materials that you will need per level. Okay, aside from that, you're just going to need the materials to put in the down function integration if you would like to have it. Now a simple solution to all of this, if you don't want to go to all the extra work and all the extra redstone, would just be to use a slime block down here below this piston. It's very, very simple. You just dive off the floor, whatever you're on, and land on a slime block. So it is a simple solution to it, but if you'd like to have the fancy piston extension, then these are the materials that you will need per level of your design. You're going to need 5 building blocks of any kind, 3 pieces of redstone dust, 3 redstone repeaters, and 2 redstone torches per level of your design for the down function integration. Alright, so let's get started building this thing. The first thing that you want to do is make a trench that is 6 by 7 by 2. That is 6 wide by 7 long by 2 deep. And then once you have all that dug out, you want to place 2 blocks here in the front coming off the design, so it should be even. You should have a 2 wide gap on this side and a 2 wide gap on this side. And then you want to place 1 more block coming off of that on the left side, and then 1 block jutting down. Alright, now you want to come just below those blocks that you just placed, beneath that very first block on the right side, and you want to place 4 pieces of redstone dust coming to what would be the left side of the design. And then you want to place another 3 coming off of that redstone dust, so you should have 4 and then 3 coming off of it. Now right in front of that redstone dust, you want to place 2 redstone repeaters on 4 tick delay, and then a block in front of them with a redstone torch on top. Okay, the next thing you want to do is place 4 more blocks right to the right of that block that you just placed, and then place a piece of redstone dust next to that torch, a redstone repeater, and then 2 pieces of redstone dust coming off of it. Now right here on this first block with the redstone dust, you want to place an additional block, and then place a repeater coming off of that block on 3 ticks delay. And then over here on the very, very end with this last piece of redstone dust, you want to place a redstone repeater on no tick delay. So it should look like this from an aerial view if you're looking at it from the front. Okay, the next thing you want to do to finish off this bottom portion is come down here in front of this redstone repeater with no tick delay. You want to place a block in front of it, place a redstone torch on the other side, place a block on top of that redstone torch, and then just diagonal to that block, you want to place another block with a piece of redstone dust. Now in front of that redstone dust, you want to place another block, so it should make a zigzag pattern just like this. And then you want to do the same thing on the other side, but since it's at a different level, it'll look slightly different. So 1 block in front of the repeater, redstone torch, block on top, 1 block diagonal with a piece of redstone dust, and then a block on the side of that redstone dust. Okay, so now comes one of the most tedious parts of this entire design, and that is placing all of the pistons for the elevator. So to start this off, you want to come to the right side of the design here if you're looking at it from the front, and you want to place your first sticky piston on this block that is being innervated by the redstone torch down below it. Then once you have that in place, you want to place a regular piston right on the side of that sticky piston, so if it was activated, it would push the regular piston into this slot. Then you can go ahead and place 2 blocks on top of those, and then on the side of those blocks, you can place your next sticky piston and your regular piston. And you're basically just going to stagger this pattern over and over for as tall as your elevator is. And it doesn't matter wherever you put your floors at, this pattern continues continuously. It never ends. So as tall as your elevator is going to be, as many floors it's going to be, just stack the pistons and add up like this. Okay, so now that you have all of your pistons in place for however tall you're making this elevator, you can begin doing the sides. Now, for tutorial demonstration, I just made this a completely random level. I did not count how many pistons I put, and I don't even know where my floors are going to be at because this is just for you guys to show you how to do it. So for me, it doesn't matter, but you guys might be a little bit more specific. So now we're going to start building up these sides of the elevator. So to do that, you just come over to the side where you have these blocks at being innervated by the redstone dust, and you just stack them up for however tall you put these pistons. So it should look just like this. So once you have both sides of your elevators stacked up just like this, we can do the next step. So starting here in this first right block that we placed originally, you want to place your pressure plate and then place a glass pane on top of that pressure plate. Now you can go ahead and start staggering up your glass panes for however tall your elevator is. So you want to have them staggered back and forth like this, 1 level above each other. So it should look like this. So So right here, for tutorial's sake, I'm going to make my first level because I would like to make this a 3-level elevator just to demonstrate to you guys how to do it. So whenever you reach a floor that you want to make a level of your elevator, you want to put 2 glass panes next to each other just like this, and then you can go ahead and bring out your platform. You just want to make sure that these are not solid blocks, that they are 2 glass panes next to each other. So this will be my first floor, and I might as well go ahead and set my next floor too. So this will be my second floor here. And this up here will be my third and final floor. And then do the same exact thing, so you'll have 2 glass panes next to each other whenever you reach a floor, on every floor of your elevator, and then you can start staggering, one up again once again. The only thing I'd like to mention here is you do not want to have it so that the glass pane is located right here. You want to have it so it is up 2 blocks from the entrance. And the reason for that is if it's right here, it will block the player from going onto the level. So whenever you begin to re-stagger your glass panes up your elevator, you want to make sure it is too high. And then you'll start on the right side, and then left side, right side, and then left side, etc., etc. So this is what it should look like when you're all done putting in your glass panes. So you'll have your pressure plate, your 1 glass pane above it, and then you'll stagger them back and forth, and you will notice that the glass panes line up directly with your pistons of the bottom floor until you get to your second floor, if you're putting floors in this level, that is. If you're not, that's okay, you don't have to put in levels, it's just the way that this elevator was designed, so you can do that. But whenever you reach a level, like I said, you want to have it so these glass panes are staggered differently, so instead of lining up with the pistons, you'll notice that they line up with the back blocks that you use, whatever you use, and that will be from then on out. So you'll see up here they change back onto the pistons, so it staggers back and forth. You just want to make sure that there is a too high gap. Okay, the next thing we want to do is start working on the torch towers and the redstone dust. So to do that, you want to come around either side of the elevator, it doesn't matter, and just below every single one of the regular pistons, just diagonal and below it, you want to place a block with a piece of redstone dust. And you want to do this for every single level of your elevator, so just follow it up on both sides of your elevator. Same exact thing on this side as well. Okay, now once you have all those blocks in place, we're going to do pretty much the same exact thing, but instead you're going to be placing blocks on the sides of each one of these sticky pistons, so it'll be in a checkered pattern just diagonal to those redstone dust. So for example, you just come around either side of the elevator, doesn't matter, and then place a block on the side of each one of the sticky pistons, staggering all the way up to the top of your elevator, however tall it is. And once again, you want to do this on both sides. So once again, once you have that done, come around the other side, and you can begin doing it on this side. Just like that. Okay, now finally we're going to be doing the last checkered pattern of this design, and this is for the actual torch tower itself. So what you want to do is come around either side of the design once again, and you just want to put a block diagonal to these original blocks that we placed, and these ones we just placed in the sticky pistons. So for example, it will look just like this. So you'll see that it is diagonal to those, and you want to keep staggering that upwards for however tall your elevator is. You will notice it staggers out 1 block from the initial, design, the initial block of the design. So it should look like this, going up both sides of your elevator for however tall it is. Same exact thing on the other side, so once again, come to the back of the design, you want to come up 1 block like this, and just stagger it all the way up for however tall your elevator is. So now we're going to start placing the redstone torches for the torch towers of this design. So you're going to begin this by going on either side, and you're going to be placing the torches on those blocks that we just placed on those sticky pistons and the ones outside. So coming off of this original torch here, for example, on the right side, you're going to be placing a torch on the opposite side of that block being innervated by it. And then you're going to place a torch on the side of that block facing inwards towards this redstone dust and going into this block by the piston. And then you're going to keep repeating this pattern over and over, so the torches will basically stagger back and forth like this. And I'm actually going to place them here on the red blocks first because it makes it a lot easier. That one I don't have to keep turning, but you guys get the idea. You just keep staggering them back and forth. So once I reach the top, then I can come around and place them on the yellow side. And there goes all the pistons. So once again, you want to repeat this for both sides of your elevator, so place your torch right on top of this block on the side, facing outwards towards that block we just placed, and then place a redstone torch facing inward on that yellow wall, and then once again stagger it back and forth. Obviously, you're probably not going to be using colored wool for this design, but I find that it helps a lot of people, so that's why I'm using it in the tutorial. Once you have all of those torches in place, you may notice that some things out here are a little bit wonky. There's a couple pistons sticking out here and there. All you have to do is step on this pressure plate and it will activate all of the pistons. And you can see it is working just as it should be all the way to the top. So at this point in time, you could probably go ahead and take your elevator to your first floor, or if you don't have floors, you could take it to the top. The elevator in itself is complete. The only thing we have to do at this point is put in the level decider, and then obviously the down function if people want to put that in. So if you want to, you can go ahead and test it. This should take me to the first floor since it is not being restricted. And there's the first floor going. Okay, so now we're going to start building the level selector system for this piston elevator. So to begin doing this, you want to place 4 blocks here on the left side of your elevator before you enter it, and then you want to place 1 block down below to the left of those little quadrant of blocks for however many levels you have in your elevator. So since I have 3, I'm just going to place 3 blocks there, and then on top of those blocks you can place your redstone lamps like this. So this will indicate however many levels you have for your elevator. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is place your stone button 2 blocks to the right of those redstone lamps, so you'll see it as 1 block gap in between, and it should be right in alignment with this first glass pane. So once you have that in place, you want to come around the back side, and you want to make a backwards L shape. So this is the block that the button's on. You want to place 1 block here, another block, and then you want to place 3 blocks coming off of it just like this. And then you want to place a redstone dust on every one of those blocks, so it should be 2 blocks wide and then 4 blocks long in total. Okay, now coming off of that redstone dust that we just placed, you want to place 2 redstone repeaters coming off facing the front of the design just like this, and this first redstone repeater you want to have on full tick delay. Then in front of those redstone repeaters you want to place 2 blocks. On the leftmost one you want to place a redstone torch, and then in the one on the right you want to place a piece of redstone dust. Okay, so now comes a part of the system that's a little bit tricky for some people to follow just because of the orientation of the hoppers. So for however many levels that you have, so say that this elevator is 10 levels total, you would have 9 hoppers facing this direction, like this. And then your 10th hopper, you would have facing backwards, just like this, going to what would be the left of the design. And then you'd have another 9 hoppers facing back this way, like that, and then your last hopper, the 10th one, would be facing back into that original hopper. So essentially what you're doing is making a circuit with these hoppers. So if you have 10 levels, like I said, you would have 9 of them facing this direction, your last one would be facing to the right, you'd have 9 of them facing back this direction, and then your last one would be facing, again, once again to the right, facing into that original hopper. So since I just have 3 levels, I only need 2 hoppers facing this direction, the third one facing back this way, and then I'm going back into the circuit, so once again like this. It should be proportional to the number of levels you have, so if you have 10 levels, you'll have 10 hoppers in total on here on the right side, and then you'll have 10 hoppers going back. But, you know, like I said, the orientation changes for that last one. So once you have your hoppers in place, you want to take your redstone dust and place it on top of the right side of those hoppers like this. Okay, now coming off of each one of those hoppers, you want to place a comparator facing directly outwards towards these redstone lamps. And then in front of these redstone comparators, you want to place blocks in front of each, and then redstone torches on top of each one of those blocks, and you'll notice these lights light up. Now's when you can put in your junk item. So like I said, this can be any item at all in Minecraft. It does not matter. Just throw it here in the first hopper. So I have a redstone lamp in my inventory from building, so I will just toss that in there. And you'll notice this comparator picks up on it, turns off the torch, and this light is now turned off. Okay, so to test and make sure we did this correctly, if you press this button, this light should swap over to the second one. And if you press it again, it should swap over to the third one. If you press the button one more time, it will reset the system and start back at the first level. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is go to each floor of your elevator, depending on how many you have. Like I said in the beginning, you don't have to have floors if you don't want to, but for the most part, a lot of you are probably going to have floors. So what you want to do is come to the floor, and you'll notice there's a too high gap. Now here on the left side, you want to come back 1 block on the left, place a sticky piston facing directly inward with a glass pane. So, if this piston was activated here, for example, it would push this glass pane over and block off that too wide gap, allowing you to actually be locked in this chamber. So that's the way that should function, and you want to do this for each level of your elevator. So I have 3 levels in total, so that was the first floor, this is the second floor. So I will come around the side here and place another sticky piston facing straight inward, and a glass pane. And then since this is the last floor, the third floor, you do not need to do it for the third floor or the last floor of your elevator. Since the third is my last, I will not do it up here. If you had 10 floors, you would not do it on the 10th floor. It's just to lock the previous levels whenever you select a level. Okay, so now comes the portion of the tutorial that is not set in its own redstone way. So what I mean by that is there's no generic static build for you to follow to do this, because it really depends on how tall your elevator is and how many floors you've put in. But basically what you want to do is just come to those redstone torches that we placed behind those redstone lamps, and you just want to place your block on top of your first torch, and then place a torch on top, block on top, and you're essentially just going to make a torch tower going however tall to your first level is. Now, obviously, if you're not making a floor elevator, you're just using this for an elevator, you don't need to do this, you can skip this step, but this is pretty much what we're going to do. So, since that one is activated by the comparator in the back, you want to make sure that the piston up here is not turned on. So whenever you reach the top, you want to make sure the torch is not innervating the piston at all. So this is actually good for us. I'm going to stop it right here. So you'll see, I pretty much just wired it up from that original torch. You wire it all the way up to your first level, and then you link it up to your sticky piston. Now the best way to think of this about how, they should be powered, if none of these levels at all were activated. So I'm going to remove this item real quick. So all of these lights are on. There's no level selected right now at all. So if there's no level selected, that means that every single piston that you have for every floor should be extended, because that means the player will not be able to access that floor, and that's exactly what we want in this situation. So if there's not a floor selected, the piston should be activated. But since the first one here is going to be activated by the item, you'll notice that it is not powered. So if we took the elevator right now, it would drop me off at the first floor. Okay, so now we're going to do the same exact thing for every floor of your elevator. You're pretty much just going to stack the tower up and take it to whatever floor that you have selected. So my second floor, obviously, is above my first floor, so that is where the torch tower is going to go. I'm going to keep stacking up these torches until I reach it. Okay, so I've reached the second floor of my elevator in alignment with that torch tower, so now I just need to make sure that this piston is activated, because it's not selected by that level selector down there, and we want to have it blocked off. So to do this, you kind of just have to move around the torches. Like I said, there's no static way of doing it, but if you give me a second here, I'll probably come up with something. So that right there will work. Now, just anything to get the, the piston activated or deactivated, depending on what floor you're going to and what your level selector choice is currently on. Like I said, there's no static build for this, so it's kind of hard to tutorialize this. It's just however you can do it whenever you get to that floor. Okay, so you'll need to build those torch towers for every level of your design, except for your last level. So if you had a 10-level elevator, you would only need to do 9 torch towers. The 10th level, you do not have to do anything for, because you don't need to block off any levels. So once you have the 10th level selected, all of these pistons will be extended, and so the last level will be open for you to land on. Okay, so at this point in time, the elevator itself and the level selection is 100% done for this demonstration. So if I have the first level here selected, you'll notice I'll step inside, go ahead and take the elevator up, and it will drop me off. And there's the first level. So now if I come down here and I choose the second level, and we ride the elevator up, it will take me to the second. And there is the second level. Now, one nice thing about this design, and this was actually a happy accident, I have to be honest, but whenever you reach a level and it is not blocked off, these pistons will actually act as an automatic ejection system, which is fantastic. So you don't, literally, you have to press no buttons whenever you're inside the elevator. You just stand still and it will drop you off at whatever level you chose. And the great part about it is, I didn't even implement that. It just happened because of the way the redstone works. So it's actually a very happy accident with this elevator. And so while we're at it, just to demonstrate, I might as well go ahead and go to floor number 3. So I'll select it and then hop inside. And there is floor number 3. Okay, so now we're going to start the down function portion of this elevator. Now, if you don't want to go to all the extra work, like I said in the beginning of the video, all you have to do is just place a slime block right down here. So imagine this green wall is the slime block, and that's pretty much the entire down function complete. If you're in the latest snapshot, obviously that'll work, and if you don't want to have like a fancy, down function, then that will work out just fine. You can just do that. But for a lot of people, they want to have the piston activation and stuff, so I will show you how to build the down function. So the easiest way to build this is to come to the bottom of the system, and you're basically going to place a block staggering like this below every single one of the sticky pistons. Now, if you're starting down here on the bottom floor, I would recommend placing your block right here below this sticky piston, placing one just like this diagonal to it, and then you want to come 2 blocks out from that one, so it should make almost like a backwards L shape, and then one down in a groove. Now you want to make sure, and this is for the bottom level only, you want to make sure you put a block above this redstone dust here to cut off the signal, because you're going to be placing 2 pieces of redstone dust on those blocks, and then a repeater, and then a repeater down in that groove as well. Now the repeater in the groove is going to be on full tick delay. So you're essentially going to be repeating that pattern for every level of your design. So to give you guys a recap of how you do that, you place a block below the sticky piston, you place one below the sticky piston with 2 more coming off, 2 pieces of redstone dust, repeater on 0 tick, and then repeater on full tick delay. And then you just keep repeating this pattern for however tall your elevator is and however long you want the down function to be. Now you don't need to worry about your levels because they will tie in a lot easier later on once we have more of the redstone done. So just once again, build this from the ground up, all the redstone that you need, and then we'll just implement later on the level system. Okay, so once you have all of those blocks in place with all the repeaters and all of the dust, it should look something like this going along the back side of the elevator. So you'll notice it is extended out one more block from the rest of it, but you'll see it is a nice chunk of the design. So the next thing you want to do is come to whatever floor you want to start on. It really doesn't matter, but honestly I would recommend starting from the top on this portion because it's a lot easier to follow along, especially because the redstone ties in with the floors down below. So what you want to do is come to your top block with this piece of redstone dust that is in a line and not the pile, and you want to place a redstone torch on the side of that block, and then you want to come one block diagonal, but I'm going to grab a different colored wool real quick so you guys can follow along. So you want to come one block diagonal to that redstone torch to the right side. You want to place a repeater on full tick delay, place another block in front of that repeater with a line of redstone dust, and then place a torch on the inside of that facing inwards towards the redstone dust that is below the next level. And you want to keep repeating this pattern for every single level of your design. So once again, you'll just come down one block, you'll put your redstone torch, you'll come one block diagonal, you place your 2 blocks, place a redstone repeater on full tick delay, redstone dust, and then your redstone torch on the inside here, just like that. And you want to keep repeating this pattern over and over again. Okay, so now that you have all those in place, I just want to do a quick recap in case you guys didn't catch it on the first time. So it should be redstone torch on the level with the redstone dust that is a line, then a redstone repeater coming off of that torch to the right side on full tick delay, a piece of redstone dust, and then a redstone torch facing inwards towards this redstone dust on the level that is below the one you were just working on. And then you just keep repeating this over and over and over again until you reach the bottom of your design. Alright, so now comes the really easy part of the design, and this is the last part that you have to do, and that is just linking up a button to that down function for every floor. It's actually really easy. The only thing you have to do is place a block to the right of those glass panes whenever you reach a level, then place your button, and this has no static set way of doing things just like the rest of the levels. All you have to do is just line it up with the redstone dust and just make sure it's not being powered. So I'll put a piece of redstone dust here. I'll probably run a couple repeaters here, that way it doesn't interfere with any of the dust. So put a couple repeaters, just like this. Then you can place a block, and pieces of redstone dust here is just fine. So if I press this button now, it will activate the entire down function for the whole system. And you'll see it is going for the entire way down. Now you pretty much just do that same exact thing on every floor. Like I said, there is no set redstone behind it because it's going to vary depending on how you built your elevator, so just block with your button, redstone dust. I would recommend using repeaters here, obviously, because there's redstone dust and torches, so it will interfere with redstone dust if you put that there instead, but that's pretty much what you want to do. So just come around like this, block, right here I'll put a redstone repeater, and that will basically go into this redstone dust, and that's pretty much it. You just do it for every floor of your design. Okay, so now that they're done, you can go ahead and test it. So I'm going to go here on the second floor because I didn't get to test it yet, and I will press your button, and you will notice all the pistons extend out for you to use the down function. And I'm going to stop here on the first floor real quick, and use this down function to make sure it works as well. So we'll press the button here, all the pistons extend out, and allow you to ride down whatever floor you're on. Alright, at this point in time, the elevator is 100% complete from start to finish, so let's give it its full first test run. It is set to floor number 3, so I'm going to ride it all the way up, and then I'm going to take the down function all the way down. Works flawlessly, and now let's take the down function. Alright guys, that is pretty much it for this entire tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop it a like down below. It helps the channel out tremendously. If you really liked it and you haven't already, press that subscribe button, favorite and share it with your friends, drop me comments, send me personal messages, all that good stuff. And I'm also now on Facebook too, so if you guys want to, you can follow me on Facebook and be kept up to date on the latest tutorials and Let's Play series on my channel. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.